Hello and good evening from Germany. This is Jonathan Quell Higgins III. It is Easter Monday, public holiday here in Germany, not all over the world. As far as I heard, a friend from the US just called me. They are having a normal working day. Jamie Opulence is having people working on his house, so nobody is there. So we have Watch Reporter here in the comments, and Watch Reporter. To be honest, I don't appreciate those kind of comments. I know that you try to be funny. If you don't behave yourself, you will be banned here. I like to have some kind of humor, but not the kind of humor that you're displaying. So be careful what you write here. Next time you will be banned. And Patel is here saying, join the panel, Watch Reporter. To be honest, I don't want Watch Reporter to be on the panel because I don't like his way of entertainment. And I'm not discussing anything with somebody who called me Adolf Hitler's grandson. So I think this should be understandable. I appreciate freedom of speech. I have no problem talking with people. But if you cross a certain line, this is not really necessary. So Watch Reporter, no, you're not welcome, and please behave, otherwise you will be banned. Good. So now that we got the organization on the way and everything, let's see who is joining us in the comments. I posted the link. If somebody wants to join me, Patel Philippe will be a little bit later. So we have here Whole Milk, who is asking, did Patek steal Higgy Baby's idea for Bora Bora watch? Yeah, that is a good point. Let me come to that. I think I have something to say about this particular watch. There is a funny. I hope that it's a funny story. I know that I'm bad with joking, but it's an interesting take because a couple of people contacted me and said, "Oh, this is a Bora Bora dial." I totally disagree. So we have Platinum Baba who is asking if I'm on time. Yes, I am. G Gadwar is sending me a heart. Thank you very much for that. So Golden Bar, not sure who that is, but rocking out with a Higgy. Yes, that's it. So Patel Philippe is saying what reporter should join the panel. I'm against that, so he will not be on. And I think most of the viewers will appreciate that. Picard says, hello, Higgy. Hello, Picars. Good to see you. Did you see the Easter egg that Porsche sent to their clients as an Easter greeting? If not, I can show you. I just received that from Russ this morning. I thought that was hilarious. G Gadwa, I'm not sure what that emoji is. So we are here discuss 5089G handcraft. Let's see which watch that is. I think that's the watch that I'm going to discuss. But let's have a look here. Patek 5089. I'm bad with reference numbers, particularly when I'm not really interested in that. So we have here. Oh, that is from 2017, so that is an old one that you brought up, but I'm happy to share. So here is a long press text, and of course no pictures. I was clicking on some pictures, and oddly enough, it doesn't show. 1 second. But I will just join and curse me for screwing up those things again. No, oh, that is a replica. Shit. Okay, that is a replica. Where is the original one? Patek Philippe. Can only see that press text from Patek Philippe without pictures. the fake we don't want. Things take time here. Watchbox. Does Watchbox have good pictures? Yeah, Patel Philippe is having having his fun that I pulled up another fake watch. So I think that's the one, 5089G. So what reporter? You mean that one here? So yeah, that is a cloisonné dial combined with micro enamel painting, showing a steam locomotive with a Hunter caseback, which is very nice. I have great respect for those handcraft watches that Patek does out. I was talking to Patel Philippe during the week, and I have to give Patek credit. If they wouldn't preserve this kind of handcraft, probably this craft would be dead. Keep in mind, those are artisans who need bread on their table. So if for a decade those are not high in demand, the art, the handcraft dies. So I give Patek credit for cultivating and for keeping on those rare handcrafts, pushing them with their exhibitions and everything. That steam locomotive is not really my kind of thing, but it doesn't have to be. I appreciate the handcraftmanship of it, and if somebody really likes that, more power to them. Those handcraft are very rare. Patek only makes small numbers of those watches, and the prices are really high. You can get those cloisonné dials from other artisans. You know that my Anders in Genève has a cloisonné dial also made in Switzerland, which is far more attractive when it comes to price. So yeah, what else do we have? Yeah, whole milk makes a good point. If it wasn't for Patek, they would just be making lewd images for Ulysse Nardin or probably somebody else. Also, Vacheron is cultivating this kind of art. So we have here very nice watches, and yeah, a lot of history in Swiss horology and in Swiss fine crafts. Hello, good evening, Tanzil.
What's going on, Higgy Baba?
Too many Babas here in
Is
the
this
yard.
is this the Swiss and John show? Where am I?
The Swiss and John show? What do you mean?
Are
What
we
do you
on
mean?
are we on Watch Nicholas? Like we got Nikki
No,
baby
no.
in the house.
Oh yeah, Watch Nicholas is here. Have a good show, Higgy. Thank you very much. Watch Nick. If you want to have a watch talk, you're welcome to join here. No, this is not Watch Nicholas. This is not Swiss and John. This is Elite Horology. That is the spin-off of the Swiss and John show, because Swiss has not been active in the show for a year, and I need a little bit more administration key. And particularly, I need you because I'm totally confused when there is a question about a certain Patek Philippe. I have difficulties pulling it up. I'm always falling into fakes, just like you've seen. So.
Yeah, this is not the first time, by the way, guys, that Higgins has pulled up a fake on one of his shows and got into elaborate detail before I pointed out to him that, hey, you're looking at a fake watch. So
yeah. So this time I caught it myself. So
yeah, I saw that.
It's not something that I should be proud of, but anyhow.
Even Nicholas can't believe it there, Higgy Baba.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure this channel will be very soon deleted because I'm fiking things up like that. What do you think?
There you go. Did you already get started in the topic? Did you want me to pull something up for you? You let me know.
I kind of started I think we can start with the surfer dial. Not sure if you have it in the background. Otherwise, I have.
Yeah, you know what? I can go to either.
1 second.
Yeah, why don't you pull it up?
I did some preparation for this.
There you go. Fine. Go ahead.
Show, believe it or not. So the first person who sent me that image was Russ. and I was checking my phone at 2 o'clock in the night. So I was sleep drunken, just like always, sleep drunk. I think you say. And he sent me that image. And 2 days before, Russ was telling me that Christopher Ward is doing something amazing, but it's boycotted, so he can't tell me. And but he told me you're going to like it. Then he sends me this image at 2 o'clock in the night, and I didn't realize the Patek Philippe Genève logo. And I thought, oh, fuck. Christopher Ward is doing now a marqueterie dial. And I just thought, oh, this is crap. This is hideous. And I just wrote that to him. Apparently, he likes it. And then the next morning, I realized that it was Patek Philippe. And they introduced part of their handcraft, this marqueterie dial. And I appreciate the craft that goes into it.
Well, why don't you explain to everybody what marqueterie actually is? And we got Dodger here who likes stuff to be broken down a little bit more simply there, Higgy baby. So what is marqueterie, first of all?
The problem with Dodger is that in his old age, he's always forgetting. So he keeps on sending me pictures of his GMT Master Pepsi, and he's not able to set it when it has run down. So Dodger, I will gladly explain it to him. So marqueterie is, I don't know if it's only limited to wood or if they can use other materials. Do you know that?
Well, I think it's around applying like veneer, to make like decorations and designs essentially onto wood. So that's what marqueterie essentially is.
Yeah. So in the case of watchmaking, mostly it's putting together little pieces of wood, just like a puzzle. I would say the problem is that it's not a ready-made puzzle. So you have pieces of wood that the artisan is piercing out with a kind of scalpel, and then putting all those things together.
Okay, so that's really. I was going to say that's marqueterie. So before we get into the watch and kind of what you think of it, I did some research as well on this piece, and it says that the marqueterie maker actually cut out and assembled 100 pieces of veneer, as well as 75 inlays, using 23 different species of wood with different colors. So just understand the scope of like the amount of work that they're putting into what the dial actually becomes. Outside of subjectively what we look at is the design, but really understanding like how many pieces went into it, how many different types of wood went into it, and really the true craft behind marqueterie itself. Go ahead. Sorry, Jonathan. I interrupted.
No. You did your research well. Being the watch nerd, I know that from the. I don't have to research that. I know that, but it is admirable. If you see here that face, for example, the head is not one single piece of wood. So the hair is one piece of wood. Then the ear is probably 2 or 3 pieces of wood. Then you get the different tones, the highlight with the nose and the ear and the mouth. So the head consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pieces of wood alone. That has to be carved, I guess, under a microscope.
Right.
So I would love to see that, because I would guess it is so difficult to cut that perfectly. And I would, if I would try that, I would have big gaps between those pieces of wood. And I guess part of the craft is to slice it so precisely. What I'm asking myself is, are they filling the gap with the kind of material, or are they really that accurate? So that is something that I don't know, and that is something that I would love to ask one of the artisans.
Well, in a few weeks, they're going to be actually there live in Geneva I believe it's at the Salon. They're going to be live, actually displaying a lot of the artistry type work that they do at Patek Philippe. So if you are in Switzerland, I think it starts on the 17th. You will be able to see the artisans in action.
Yeah, that is something that I'm personally very interested in. Not only about marqueterie, they also having their enamel dials. on display. I'm still figuring out if it's worth to drive down just for that occasion or not. Because as far as I know, Patek
Mhm.
is doing this kind of exhibition on an annual basis, and I'm not sure how big it is. So the question is it worth driving down the 1,100, 1,200 kilometers from Hamburg or not?
I think they're trying to overlap with Watches and Wonders. So um, when folks are there, they can then kind of double up the exhibition, at Paddock essentially. So yeah, I mean, if you are going to Watches and Wonders, check it out. If not, because I don't think Higgins, you're planning to go to Watches and Wonders this year, right?
No, I'm not planning. The only thing that I would do is to drive down, visit that exhibition, and drive back. And I'm not sure if that's worth the effort.
Right, right. We got Dis in the chat who says this looks like Poway on the beach.
Not sure how Palver really looks like. Um, I've heard a comment. Not sure if it was you, because you sometimes are a funny faker, or somebody else. Somebody said this is Mike the Snake dial. So this took inspiration from a young Mike the Snake,
I think that might have been
surfing
me. Yeah, I think that might have been me.
surfing in the oceans of California, being in his prime. So I call that the Mike the Snake dial, and yeah.
Yeah, because I actually, when I think of this style, that's what it means to me, or that's what it depicts to me, is somebody living in California, who goes surfing. I think the name of the watch or the design is Morning on the Beach or something like that, right? So yeah, just who do I know who lives in California who would be this kind of a free spirit? I think Mike the Snake comes to mind, but yeah, that's the kind of vibe I get, is somebody from that area of the world, or even Hawaii, I guess. But the surfing theme, I guess. So yeah,
Yeah,
Mike the Snake though.
I think this vibe doesn't give me Bora Bora vibes for some reason. I can't explain it, but I associate that with Hawaii, with California, or with Florida. Not so much with Hawaii. Not sure if it's the surfboard, if it's the surfer shorts, if it's the guy who obviously is a white guy. So, what do you think? Does this dial give you a Bora Bora vibe?
Oh yeah, for those that don't know what Jonathan Quill Higgins looks like, this is a young Jonathan Quill Higgins in Bora Bora.
Very
So
young, very young.
you know what? I think you could show your wife and say, "Hey, look, this is the Bora Bora dial." So
Yeah. Okay. Not sure how happy she is with it. Actually, she told me that she likes the previous discussed Bora Bora dial really a lot, and we are still working on that. If
see,
there is a
Dodger is
progress.
saying the waves are too small for Hawaii. So the theme of this Dodger is the surfer is there in the morning and is patiently waiting for the waves. So yeah, maybe too small for Hawaii, but definitely giving me California vibes.
I mean, I've been on Hawaii, and the waves are not always 6 meters high. So
Right.
it depends a little bit where you are, on which side of the island. I've seen waves like that comfortably. So it doesn't always have a monster wave. Have to be a monster wave.
So let's look at the rest of the watch. So you've got so the case shape is very much case and lugs is the 6007 Calatrava shape. So that's pretty standard. Looks like the strap from it's not really the same one as my perpetual, but it's
It
obviously
is
no, it's not.
it is a structured strap, just like
That's
the
right.
six
Right, like the
thousand
6,
seven, isn't
yeah,
it?
exactly, right, the
Yeah.
6007. The
Mm.
difference, I don't think they show the movement, in any of these photos. I don't know if you're on the Patek's website, because,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
they
have.
don't it uses, for those that don't know, so it has a Hunter case back, similar to the one we saw, like, a few minutes ago, with the locomotive dial. It has a Hunter case back, and it also uses the 240 movement. So this is interesting, Jonathan, because Patek, for these rare handicraft Calatravas, I think when the Formula One Geneva Formula One race one came out last year, I believe OC said, "Oh, it's just a 6119," because of the hobnail bezel,
Mm.
but it actually is not a 6119, And
Yeah,
just like this is not a 6007, right? If you can see here as you're showing on the screen, Hunter case back 240 movement.
yeah. Unfortunately, I can't make that. Oh,
Yeah, but
okay.
you can see this pretty well on the screen.
Yeah. So yeah, you can see the movement with the micro rotor. I think I mentioned that last on the last show that there are rumors that this is basically a rip-off of the Universal Genève movement, because the head of development from Universal Genève went to Patek Philippe, immediately created this particular movement, and then Patek got sued by Universal Genève, and they could release it then after a couple of years after the dispute has been settled. And there are some similarities between those two movements.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's the same. And so, I mean, this
No,
movement
it's
is
not the
interesting.
same.
No, I know it's
It is definitely not the same, but they are close cousins, I would say.
what's different is here this movement. They specifically use this movement for a lot of their special watches. You'll see that in the 6006, which is the Calatrava from previous generation to the current 6007. Use the 240 movement. World Times use the 240 movement, and the perpetual calendars, modern, the modern versions of the 3940s use the 240 movement. So very very special movement to the brand, and that's why they put them in these watches. They don't use your basic, the old 324 or 26330. That's current production.
I think the reason why they're doing that is the 240 movement is a little bit slimmer. So when you add a complication like a world time or a perpetual calendar or whatever, you're using a module usually, which makes then the movement thicker. And to keep the slim, sleek case profile, the 240 is really the
Yeah, but
ideal
that
choice.
right, but that doesn't apply to these watches, right? These are simple Calatravas, so it's meant for beauty. It's meant for the
Yeah, yeah.
fact that it is the micro rotor. It's a special movement. They're not gonna, they could have used the 324, the big rotor movement, but they chose specifically to use the micro rotor movement.
Yeah, so yeah, you're totally right. There is no technical need to have the 240, so it is just for the flexing and for
What do you think of the Hunter case back,
admiration.
specifically?
Ah, I don't like it. I appreciate, and I know that's fucking complicated to make and to keep really perfect, but I'm not a big fan of it. You can see the hinge and that little nose peeking up from behind, and I'm not the biggest fan of those Hunter case specs, to be honest.
Yeah, I would disagree. Like, I'd prefer this than just a simple sapphire, especially on and I'm specifically talking about these rare handicraft watches. You're getting, a marquetry dial or a cloisonné dial, enamel or a flinke dial. You've got all these different, types of artistry on the dial, and then if you get a simple, sapphire case back like every other watch, to me, it's just a little too vanilla. So I think that they did the right thing by going with the Hunter case back, because also on the Hunter caseback, you can put an engraving if you want one, and you still, you don't lose anything in the movement, as well as the fact that you also get the extra gold. Now, Paddock does give, solid gold casebacks with a lot of their sapphire display models,
With
but
the high-end models, yeah. Mhm.
I mean, you still get all the gold, right? So I think personally, for me, I appreciate the fact that rather than just being a little too vanilla.
Yeah, Holmberg just echoes that Hunter caseback encourages you to engrave the back, adds to the romanticism of the watch. I can see that point, and I also agree that Patek putting an extra effort and not cutting corners with those watches is admirable, and they have my respect for that.
I mean, as a package, I think this piece overall, if you zoom out a bit, Jonathan, if we can see the whole thing kind of as a full package, right? Like, as a full package, I think that this does work really well. The colors, the blues work really well. Um, I just think the theme is obviously very specific, but that's always the case with these watches. The themes are always specific. It could be a bird or a locomotive or what have you, right? So it will speak to a certain individual. However, I think overall of what it's trying to accomplish, I think they did a really good job.
What will be interesting, I would even go as far as placing a bet that they have a couple of those motive dials. So I guess that this is not the only surf or kind of ocean themed dial that they are doing, because usually Patek is doing packages. And from the last exhibition, we all remember, one second, those race dials that Russ got one of them.
Mhm.
And one second, let me pull that up. Just takes an hour. Oh yeah, here we are. So here we have that famous race dial that Russ got. I think it's a limited edition of 5 or 10.
10.
And what people don't know is, or many don't know, is that Patek also showed two more, at least two more race dials, and I would like to show them here. If
Of all of them, that's still my favorite, I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, totally. But to be complete, so this is the Monaco.
This one's not bad.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
Yeah, it's a little bit dark, the tone, and there is another one.
What do you think of these perforated straps?
I hate them.
Yeah, I think it's a little much. But hey, I love Russ's watch, but I think the perforated straps are just a little much.
Yeah, but he got a custom-made strap, also with the holes. I was hoping that he would get rid of the holes, but he got
a custom made from Patek or just aftermarket.
No, from Jean Rousseau, as far as I know.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so that is another motif here. I think that is St. Bernina or somewhere, and then there is a 1970 Formula One race car. So when Patek is doing those releases, they're not only releasing one. And
Right.
I hope that in the next couple of days we will see a little bit more of the marquetry. Maybe they pick up the motif and make an enamel dial. You never know, but it's going to be interesting what really comes up. Oh, we have another guest. So hello and good evening, Watch Nicholas.
Hey, Higgy, how are you? And what's up, Tan? How are you guys doing?
Hello and good afternoon from Canada.
Good to talk to you. How are you? You've been missed.
I think my audio shit. Can you hear me now? Sorry, boys.
That's
okay?
part.
It's a little bit difficult.
It's par for the course.
Bad connection. Is it better now?
Yeah,
it's losing my phone all over. Hey, what's up, Tan? I can hear you now.
Yeah, you're better.
Something. Fuck. All right, what's going on? Hey, Higgins. Good to see you. Kind of.
Yeah. Have you seen the new handcraft watches that have been introduced?
No, I have not. That's why I tuned in, because I was excited to hear about it and learn something.
Show them the Mike the Snake dial.
Yeah. One second.
Yeah, I know nothing of it. This is high elite luxury that is kind of beyond my comprehension.
That's what we're all about. Yes. So.
All right, zoom in for Nikki on the Mike the Snake dial.
Contrary to
surfer. Okay.
So we were saying that this is inspired by the young Mike the Snake surfing in the oceans next to San Francisco, being at his prime, looking forward to a beautiful sunset and a beautiful Bikini Bay, probably. What is cool about this watch is it has a marquetry dial, which is then a big puzzle of many pieces of wood. I think they are.
Wow! You can kind of see that now that you zoom in. That's insane.
Yeah. So that is one of the handcrafts that Patek cultivates and still does. We've recently seen some Hermes watches featuring marquetry. So those are pieces of wood that are pierced out with a scalpel and then carefully put together. I think I was counting the pieces only for the head. I think it was 12 or 14. So this is really difficult, and I would love to see one someone really making that. And the chance is, if you're in Geneva, Patek is having an exhibition at their main house of those rare handcrafts.
Really?
Yeah, essentially, Nick, it's pieces of wood or veneer kind of put together like a puzzle onto the dial. So it's all wood, and that's what I was going to ask you too, Higgins, about
Crazy time consuming, it sounds like.
yeah, about the wood aspect of it too, Higgins. Like, wood in a watch, right? Like condensation, all like. Do you get worried about that with these kind of pieces?
Yeah, we had those wood dials in Rolex watches, those beautiful walnut wood dials, and I know that they're delicate even when they're not exposed to water because they tend to crack. I'm not sure how Patek is covering those marqueteries up. If they're having a final lacquer veneer over it, or if it's really the bare wood that you see on the dial. So that will be also something interesting to see, and to ask the artisans how they are going to protect that. I guess the reply is just like with a vintage sports car: don't use it in the rain.
And by the way, Nick, what we were saying was the artisans are actually going to be they're going to be available at the Patek Salon in Geneva from like the 17th of April all the way till the end of April. So it overlaps with Watches and Wonders.
Ooh, okay, that's good. That's a positive.
Yeah, I was telling folks that are potentially in the area, or Jonathan, for example.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
yeah, folks that are going to Watches and Wonders, you should check this out at the Patek Salon. The artists are, that do these kind of dials, marquetry, flinke, enameling, etc. They're going to be there. So definitely. And Jonathan, you've seen these before. You've seen some of this kind of work live before, right? And I think that you said it enhances the experience.
Me?
Yeah, like you've seen artistry like this enameling.
I've seen enameling and guilloche, but not
Give you a newfound
marquetry.
respect.
So what I'm saying is that the experience of somebody watching that kind of artistry, like like for example, Nick's not maybe ever seen that kind of stuff in his life before, right?
No, never.
To
Definitely.
help his appreciation or improve his appreciation of this kind of artistry is what I was saying.
Yeah, it's a great recommendation for sure. I mean, it would, yeah, because you know what, like, I'm definitely still in the beginner. Like, I don't have the knowledge y'all have, so to see that, it definitely.
Oh, come on,
yeah.
Nick.
I'm serious. I don't know all these terms, man, at all.
You're underplaying your hand a little
learning
bit.
about it. A little bit, but at the same time, I'm still like, if it's a spectrum of like 1 to 10, I'm like a 1.5 or a 2. I see both of you guys like 9, 9.5, like on that side. I have a deep appreciation though that I don't think will ever change, just because of art and whatnot. So
Look, Dodger says the wood should be okay. He says if it's seasoned.
there you go.
Yeah, he said it should be fine.
Those old day dates with the wood are gorgeous. Those bark dials or whatever from like the 70s and 80s.
And very, very high in demand recently. I remember we had those dials in a kind of tray, and nobody really wanted them for 20 years. Nobody cared. But in the time where people like Saad are educating us about those beautiful dials of the day dates, then everything changes. Yes.
We got P-Cars in the chat.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, P-Cars? Hope you're well. Sorry, Higgy, didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. P-Cars, shout outs to P-Cars is always good. So, but I would like to move that discussion a little bit, because you, Tanzil, you had a kind of watch talk on Archie last week, and there were several points where
are you going to at least show the Flinke dial, like that handicraft? Do you not have that one?
That one?
Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
Tell Nick about the Flinke dial.
Oh wow, that's beautiful.
And marquetry. Go ahead.
So is it called Flinke or Flanke?
Flanke.
I would say Flanke.
Yes. Flanke.
Yeah. So this is basically a dial that is engine turned, like a guillochage or like a guilloche, and then it is on top enameled with a translucent or transparent enamel color, so that you can see the guillochage still shining from the bottom. Did I say that
beautiful.
correct, or
that's
did I
really
fall
pretty.
for it?
That blue and the yeah. Speechless.
That's beautiful.
It's really nice. The numerals too.
Yeah, we
Really,
have
really
our
nice.
friend Russ. We have our friend Russ who recently received a Patek Philippe minute repeater with a beautiful flanqué dial, and I'm just I was not showing it on the last show because he didn't authorize that, and I was waiting for his reply, which then of course arrived too late. But now I have the okay, and I'm gonna show it to you guys here. So that is Russ's new minute repeater.
Oh, wow.
Patek Philippe.
Ooh.
That looks really nice. Especially he has strap games on point. No offense, Higgins, but seriously, that goes really nice with that too.
Well,
I think
that is the original.
There's
That is
two
the
options.
original dial that came with this particular dial.
And I think there's
with
two
this-
options of straps too. There's a blue strap and this one,
Yeah.
but this is really nice.
And he got 2 more extra deployants. So I think he has now 3 deployant buckles just for that watch.
Got to have variety. That
Yep.
orange, brown, whatever you'd call that, definitely works though with the blue.
Yeah,
like
I think
a lot.
that pops. I think it would be.
You said that
it would
be
be not
the factory. Sorry.
Say it again.
You said that's the factory configuration, that orange, or that's the
Yeah.
factory strap.
Yeah, they gave him
Okay.
a blue watch, a blue strap, and the orange. And I think the orange pops with the contrast stitching. I know that contrast stitching is a controversial point, but I think that strap wins by the contrast stitching. It would be kind of boring without it.
Yeah, the contrast helps so much. It really makes it pop. I think the
Where's
contrast stitching in the strap definitely brings out the dial a lot, I think.
Breguet hands, Breguet numerals, guilloche, enamel, minute repeater, Higgy baby.
Yeah.
What else do you want?
Yeah,
Not
the hands
really
are
much.
gorgeous. I like the hands a lot.
Maybe an email.
Well, you get email right at the bottom.
Yeah. So I find that hilarious that Patek is still doing that in my writing here on the dial. it
I actually
sticks
love
out to
it.
me.
Yeah, I actually love it. It's so quirky, and it's so like not what they would do, but I like the fact that it's still there. So I don't know. Even Picard is saying he loves it.
Well, what is
Yeah, it's very quirky. It's
Nick, you're muted. So, but I would like to come.
Sorry, just saying it's quirky, different. Definitely fun.
I would like to come back to some of the fighting that I would like to have with Tanzil, because you had a watch show last week on Archie Luxury.
Are you gonna roll clips, or are we gonna just talk?
No clips. No, you know that I'm too
I thought this is
lazy.
why you brought Watch Nicholas on the show, like to run clips.
Nick, do you have clips?
I don't know anything about this. I had like a half-hour break, so I was just trying to.
Higgins is triggered from something I did like a week.
I mean, I have here 8 bullet points written
He's
down.
pissed.
Here.
He wrote down bullet
paper.
points. You're so triggered that you wrote down fucking bullet points.
Okay,
go.
Can you hear that? Paper. And
Yes.
I wrote 8 bullet points
Okay.
where you've been totally wrong.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
You said on the show, and of course I know that you were talking about...
I need timestamps too, or these are allegations
No.
only.
Let me try to summarize what kind of shit you said.
Sure.
But I will give you the benefit that you were talking about normal watches, Rolex, AP, Omega, whatever, and here we are talking about craftsmanship and artisan and handcraft and so on. So, but you said the main thing is that a watch looks cool. That is all what a watch is about. And I said, I totally disagree, because if
on some level, if the watch isn't cool, it's not. I mean, it has to be cool.
Yeah, he's paraphrasing, Nick. He's paraphrasing. Let him finish, Nick. He's paraphrasing, and then I'll let you.
Yeah.
So
I disagree with you in that point for 2 reasons. First of all, I would say when we're talking about really high-end watchmaking, you don't have to love how it looks. But if it doesn't appear to you, if you find it ugly, then it's a deal breaker. But I will take this particular watch as an example. I find this motif revolting without knowing what kind of craftsmanship goes into that, I think it looks like a cheap chewing gum advertisement from the 1970s. So from a very shallow point of view, I find that revolting. And what this show is about is we are trying to look a little bit deeper to explain what kind of effort goes into those watches, because you have to learn, you have to understand, you have to look closer to appreciate that. So I find that motive totally ugly, but then it gets fascinating when I see this kind of craftsmanship. So I disagree with you that is always only at the first image, that it must be look cool and then people are getting excited. I agree, when it's ugly, then it's a deal breaker. But some things are growing when you look closer. That is my point.
Yeah, but the point too is that you won't buy this watch no matter how much you look deeper. I know for a fact you're not going to buy this watch because you don't find it aesthetically pleasing.
Exactly.
And that was the point I was making was, 90% of all of this, of appreciating a high quality watch, is it visually appealing to the individual? And you don't find this visually appealing. And what I'm also getting at is the fact that the brand or the manufacturer probably misses the mark if you have to go to that level of like, well, like, let's get past the fact that it's like, an ugly turd, and get into the fact that you got to put about 100 little pieces to make this ugly turd, right? Like, you see, the point is like, you have to be sold on why it's good. And to me, that it just misses the mark. So, while this watch in particular is very niche, it's very specific. They may even have a specific person that commissioned this, and then it's part of this handicrafts group because they just thought, hey, it looks nice. But these are very specific pieces, and they're not going to be mainstream, and they're not going to be visually appealing to everybody. So I think Nick was jumping in right away and saying that, yeah, it is part of it. Absolutely, it is. It's a lot of it. This is fashion. This is fashion, guys. It's fashion first, and high art later.
I still remember my point when I said when something is ugly, then it's a deal breaker. And we had that discussion with Bernard Lederer or with Jérôme Tichier and Renaud on the last show. So certainly there are deal breakers. But I would say that some people who are interested in this particular watch are not really super keen about the motive. They are just into that craftsmanship and probably are also fascinated by the fact that it's super rare and it's a future collectible.
Joseph D says it's an intricate turd. Yeah. All right, that was point number one, Higgins. Let's go to point number two.
Yeah. So my what I noticed is you were complaining that that people were talking about Raymond Weil watches when it came to the music watches, and then you're starting discussing Christopher Ward. So how bad can that be? You use Christopher Ward as an example for dress watches made cool again. So
no, I think I used Daniel Wellington, not Christopher Ward. But it was used to make. It was used.
Daniel Wellington. Yeah.
Right. It was used to make a point not about luxury. The reason I used that segment of the show was the term the dress watch. To me, the term dress watch is dead, and I think collector. The point of why I use that was an example. I believe that collectors, we use that term dress watch. It's an archaic term. It's not relevant to today. And my example of why it wasn't was using the brand Daniel Wellington. I said, the buyers of that brand, that's not a high-end brand, guys, don't get me wrong. The buyers of that brand are generally younger people. And 3-4 years ago, when that brand was popular, it was primarily dress watches. And those, the youth that buy those watches, they don't wear suits. They don't wear, tuxedos. That's not their attire. And they don't perceive it as a dress watch. So I was just saying, hey, collectors, wake up. The term dress watch is dead. I don't know. I mean, Nick, Higgins, I don't know if you guys feel otherwise, but that's why I use that analogy, because not because it's a high-end brand, but it's the other way around. Sorry, Nick, go ahead.
No, not at all. I mean, People, you know what, dress watches they're not as popular anymore. I mean, I think maybe like office casual, something like that would be better terminology. Definitely not like dress with like the tux level of fanciness. But I gotta
Yeah.
say, you know, making the point about Wellington, I actually have to admit I like some of those new Christopher Ward's, the Antarctique ripoffs. They're actually kind of cool. I would never buy one,
The
but
12.
is that what it's called? I think
Yeah, I
so.
think. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Russ is always teasing me with those watches. Yeah, I think that is a very interesting discussion that we're having about dress watches, and I have this discussion ongoing with Tanzil now for a couple of weeks, because my theory, and I'm trying to start a revolution here, is we're not talking about dress watches anymore. Dress watches come from a time where people were wearing business attire. So suits and ties, and they had watches for that occasion, which usually had a leather strap. Times have changed. People dress differently, and I find that the term dress watch a little bit wrong, because that would mean that 97% of your time you couldn't wear a watch with a leather strap. And I'm wearing my watches on leather straps all the time. And there I come to the genius of the Code 1159, which now has improved dials. And we had that discussion, and I was mostly ranting about the dials. Now they improved them, kind of, and I think it just shows the concept. And in my opinion, the AP Code 1159 is the dress watch of today and of the future, because it is classic, but then it breaks with the classic rules of watches. So I start to understand the genius which is behind the watch, particularly now that they improved the dials significantly. And we were discussing about another line that Patek probably will introduce at Watches and Wonder. And if you look at the lineup of Patek Philippe, I think they're missing something like the code 1159.
I disagree. Like, you know, if you go back to a picture just of the watch as a whole, like, yeah, this just any like this. You know, the problem with this watch is, and look, they're doing a good job trying to overcome this problem. The problem with this watch is it's a circular watch, and with all quote unquote dress watches, you can't differentiate them from other circular watches. They're trying very hard, you know, dial, indices, you know,
Oh, come on.
you know, it's just it's not differentiating itself, you know, from anything else. And I don't think these watches, whether it's Pateks, Calatrava, or this one, will ever be super popular. They're trying to make them popular, but until they change the shape of the case, I don't think they'll ever really take off to where they think it's going to go to.
But I think the case is very much different. It doesn't have the conventional bezel. It is bent. It has those pierced out
Yeah,
locks.
but
So
that's
there
only
are a
from
lot of modern elements in that
but that's
watch.
only from up close, though. From far away, it looks
Yeah.
like everything else.
It's similar to Higgy's argument with why you know, the other one wasn't good until you look at it up close. You know, from
So you
far.
have to look close.
A little bit. Well, you know, it's also you're saying I don't. You know, it's just. I guess part of it comes down to your definition of a dress watch. I really don't see this as a dress watch. I like the 1159 lot, but you know, especially it's like what, like 10.9 or 11 thick. It's perfect for office and casual and whatnot. And I think the dials are. I mean, they're nice, and I think they're really. It's an underrated line, but. To me, I guess it's like the definition of a dress watch is much different. Like it wouldn't have a seconds hand. I like that it's a precious metal, but you know, it's leather strap and no seconds hand, no date, precious metal, thin, something like that. And this just doesn't really meet that. It's fine for, you know, casual office. Like you can definitely dress it up if you need to, but that's
Whole
just
milk was throwing some sand into the discussion, mentioning the stamp dial. That is certainly a turnoff when we're talking about a manufacturer like AP, that they now are stamping those beautiful structures into the dials and not go that far as you using the engine turning. Sorry, I was interrupting
I
you.
mean, yeah, whole milk's right though. I mean, 35,000 euro. And again, when I kind of look at that price, I hear what Nick is saying, but I'm like, I think when the price tag is, $35,000, $40,000, people are going to start thinking, well, I want something that's going to stand out. And I still think these watches, circular watches, just don't do it for most people.
I mean, they can, but I just don't think that even though this is a unique case shape, I do not see it as like unique enough to where it really stands out. Or it does, but it's just like the conversation earlier with the surfer watch with the wood thing, though. It's like, from afar, it doesn't seem like anything. Up close, it's a little more special, and I think that applies to the 1159 for sure. I'm a bit, and especially on a discount, I'd be all about it.
But isn't the Code 1159 a step from the classical dress watch to something more modern, more
Sure.
contemporary?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely it is. But just that step doesn't mean that buyers' tastes will change, right? Just because they're making it, and that's why I said they're trying to make it more contemporary. Look at the strap; it's not it's not an alligator strap, right? Look at the lugs; they're hollowed out. It's different in that sense, but it still doesn't mean that buyers like that. Buyers want different case shapes. They want integrated bracelet. Like the tastes of today are different, and I think that's why these struggle.
I mean, you're shitting on AP while then praising Patek for the genius of using the 6007 case and putting some blue and green highlights and selling that as the genius of discovery.
No, I'm just saying that like this lineup, the 1159 was, and look, Patek's coming out with this as well. This lineup was created or supposed to be the new lineup for AP. They were they were always being called out as the Royal Oak brand. And Patek right now is getting kind of similar boat with the Aquanaut or Nautilus brand. So Patek is also supposed to come out with a new line this year. I think that AP just kind of failed with this line, and they're still leaning in on this case shape that I just think buyers just don't want, and that's why they're just not popular.
I mean, you can't deny that just based on the price or the fact that the MSR or the AD price compared to what it sells for in the gray. I mean, you get these at a discount. So, I mean, that kind of tells you that the buyers aren't ready for it yet. But, I mean, you could get a discount on Royal Oaks, too, for a while until it popped off. So maybe they'll catch up in time. Buyers will be ready. But right now, you can't deny that it seems like they're not just up the price alone.
Totally. The hype did certainly not catch up with the Code 1159, no matter what AP is telling you. Yeah.
Doesn't take away from it being a beautiful watch, though, and having value for sure.
And your argument that they tank on the secondary market is probably the argument for people who really like the watch to get it for a great price.
Definitely buy dip.
So Zeppi, who has a wrench, sir, you requested, you got it. So please use it here without mercy. So Zeppi is asking a question. Arch did not want to wear his World Time in bangers because of the humidity messing up his leather strap. Would 3 weeks there really damage his strap? Patel, what do you think?
I mean, we saw Jamie's strap after, I think it was a week or something like that when he was in Bangkok, and he said it was actually pretty decent. Now, we've also heard Archie sweats like a pig, so who knows? But look, it's a strap. Straps can be replaced. Nobody cares about always the strap original, right? Like nobody gives a shit. So for me, it's like, dude, just enjoy that watch. Who cares about the strap? It's like to me, it's like tires for a car. You just replace them. So use them, enjoy them.
Yeah, fair point.
What about you, boys? What do you think?
I would disagree a little bit with you. No matter what the manufacturer says, I think the World Time is rated 30-meter water resistant, isn't it?
30 meters, yep.
Yeah. So no matter what the manufacturer says, when the watch is a couple of years old, past service, I wouldn't be too convinced that it holds when you're really sweating with a pig. So
it just returned from service.
Yeah, but still, when I'm wearing a leather strap watch and I'm really starting to sweat, I put it from the wrist because I'm always scared that my sweat would come into the case and then damage the watch. So I think that is a point. I don't worry about the leather strap, and that can be fixed. There are beautiful leather straps out there with a rubber backing. If that's really an issue, for me, it's more an issue if it will damage my watch or my movement.
Yeah, but that's not he just got it serviced. So if he went and he wore that like in Bangkok
Yeah.
and it got moisture damage, it would be fixed under warranty.
It would be covered then, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm hearing that it was not that hot, actually.
I just think it was less about the moisture, and I think it was more about like the damage. You know, he's like, well, I'm sitting in economy, and I don't want to, you know, and I'm like, man, like, why do you care? But that's actually the reason why he's like that is because collectors these days they give a shit about scratches. You know, it does affect value, whereas in times before it never did. You know, you could have a scratched up watch, people would still take it and say it's fine.
It's true.
So Dodger says straps are consumables. Wear the watch and enjoy. Totally agree. I mean, if you're worried about the leather strap that it's getting damaged, you probably can't afford the watch.
I mean, I wouldn't wear. I mean, in fairness, though, like I'm just thinking of myself. Like I'm not buying watches on that level, but I wouldn't be wearing a leather strap in a humid environment for multiple weeks. I mean, unless it has like a rubber backing, like you were saying, or something. But I would probably just avoid the leather strap personally.
Zebby comes up with a suggestion: why not wearing a NATO on that world timer when traveling?
Yeah, I mean,
Reminds me a little.
I just don't understand. Like, who are you saving the watch for? Like, what are you saving it for? You know, like a special occasion where you wear it like for a couple of hours. Like, what's the point?
I hear you. I'm just talking about the strap only.
Yeah. No, it's not that. It's
But
I don't think it's the strap net per se for him. I think it's the actual watch itself getting damaged.
About the value, you know what I mean? Like the fact that it could get stolen, or something could happen. Would be my guess. I'm just assuming. That would be my first thought.
Yeah, Higgins, it's like the whole saving the miles for the next driver in cars, right? Where people just store cars because they don't want to put mileage because they don't want to affect the value, but they never enjoy the car. And when they sell it, they're kind of like, well, shit, I should. And Archie actually said this. He was like, when I get my world time, I'm going to start wearing it because last time I didn't. And then look at him now; he's not wearing it.
Yeah, so. Exactly. Yes. So you leave it at home and get it stolen. That is another point. But you and I, we've been talking probably for a year now about the world time being not really a functional watch, but having another dimension which is very romantic. So you're traveling in your mind when you see the cities on that city ring, and I think it's a shame when you're really caught up with that romantic concept. And you're fancying about traveling to certain places in the world, then you finally travel and you're not taking the watch with you. I think that's really a shame.
Yeah, definitely.
Dodger's saying at 62, he's saving nothing. He's enjoying everything while he can.
Go out and bang.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. I think I think there is no reason not to wear watches, and I know that the seller of my Lange Tourbillon will be rotating probably if he heard that. He doesn't have the channel, so but he couldn't believe that I was really wearing this particular watch, and I do. I'm still very careful because I'm still waiting for the photo op. Monochrome will feature the watch. And I'm going to meet Frank after Watches and Wonders.
That'll be great.
When's the article? When do you think it's actually going to come out?
I don't know. I can't tell. So first of all, he must take the pictures and talk to me about the background of the watch. I think I'm going to bring a couple of watches, including my shitty Seiko that started that watch madness. And probably I'm going to tell him the genesis, the development of the taste of Higgy when it comes to watches.
Are you
So
bringing?
what? Go ahead, Nick.
Sorry, Tim.
Go ahead.
Are you going to bring a Porsche design?
Oh yeah. Certainly, I mentioned that on the last interview already. I think it's also been featured because I seen the watch first on Monochrome. Monochrome is my first place where I go when I'm looking for watch news, and I saw my World Timer on Monochrome, and I saw also the Porsche on Monochrome, and both presentations resulted in immediate action.
Yeah, I like their website. They have good stuff. Definitely better than the Hodinkee crowd for sure.
Yeah, Hodinkee. It's such a shame because Hodinkee used to be very good.
I
Very
loved
cool.
them. They were so great a long time ago. Yeah.
I loved Jack Forster and his article. I learned such a lot from him.
Where did
also his?
Didn't he
Nick?
peel off somewhere else?
I think he's at Watchbox now.
Is he? That sounds right. I think so. Yeah, he went somewhere else, but one of the main companies, something like that. He was really good. He was probably
fantastic.
I liked his writing a lot. He was, very good writer. It's entertaining in some of the little shorts they did too.
Yeah, hilarious was they had a Q&A. Did you see that?
I've seen a few of them, I believe. I've seen ones with him and other people. I can't think of any where I've seen him like one-on-one with anybody though.
Yeah, he had a Q&A, Ask Jack. I think every 2 weeks he had that. It was only 5-6 minutes, but it was hilarious because people always asking the same question, and he's quite funny. But I'm hearing that he also had a little bit of a god complex, so I think
he was
he
entertaining.
was.
Sure, maybe he did. Like I got that vibe a little bit just from some of the videos. Honestly, watching him, like with how he interacted with some of the people. But I will give him that he was definitely by far the most entertaining, and I really enjoyed his type of humor. And he was the main reason why I think I enjoyed Hodinkee. Honestly,
Chili Badger is bringing it to the point. Wear a rubber, it stops scratches and pregnancy. Win-win.
there you go.
I like that. Tanzila, are you still with us?
Yeah, I just wanted to read this comment.
Okay.
Tiktology.
Tiktology. I truly feel a lead while tuning into the show. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please like, subscribe. I think we gained 50% of subscribers in the last week, so we are on a good path. We started below.
It's because you got all the journalists spruiking the channel. You got the Watch Reporter, and you got Nikki Baby spruiking the channel. So
yeah, I just banned Watch Reporter because he couldn't stop being nasty.
Do you guys not get along? You guys don't like each other, or you don't like him?
Well,
I like the Watch Reporter. I like him.
He called me Hitler's grandson, which is not a good basis to start discussing watches.
Yeah, I think as soon as you like any Hitler stuff is definitely off. That just everybody knows.
And he can't stop himself doing that. So yeah,
well,
and
maybe he'll be able to take one step back, and then you guys can reset, and it'll be all good. Maybe.
Well,
possibly.
Yeah, it's up to him to show to show that he's willing to learn. And
guy, I enjoyed my time with him for what it was worth. Had a
you've been on his show yesterday, I heard.
Was it? It was either yesterday or the day before. I think he reran it yesterday. I went on Friday, and we did like an hour and a half. And he's a nice guy, man. I enjoyed talking to him. I had a fun time. Channel's entertaining. I hope it does well.
$10 super chat.
Yeah, ring the bell.
Go ahead, Higgy.
Original OC. Hey everyone, great to see my super good friend Tan joining our channel today. Shout out to all my friends in the chat today. OC, you're a little bit unfriendly. You should mention also our friend Watch Nicholas. And yeah, thank you very much.
I don't take it first, but I appreciate that, Higgins. It's very kind of you. It's all good.
For tuning in. And as long as we're talking here, watches and being civil with each other, then I'm happy.
I heard OC's going to Watches and Wonders again. He went last year. I think he's going again this year.
Yeah, I think the big question is he changed his main sponsors for sunglasses. Not he moved from Ray-Ban to Oliver People, and the
Yeah.
big question I think that the entire city of Geneva is asking: will OC wear those what are the names of his shoes? Just forgot them. Skechers. Will he move from Skechers to Hoka now, or will he stay faithful with Skechers?
I don't know,
That
man.
is
When
the
you
big
think
question.
Platinum Day Day, you don't think Skechers OC like.
No, don't. You got to have some just like, I don't know, nice shoes. But
I disagree with you, Tan. The last time I've been in Geneva, I was meeting with Swiss at Anders and Genève. We were walking around the town, and I had nice dress shoes, and those were new. And I suffered that day so hard. I had blue toenails,
hard to
which
walk around in dress shoes if you have to do any significant level of walking. Is that what?
exactly. So in the age of OC and I, you guys are young crickets. So OC and I, we are seasoned gentlemen, and you're not putting up with this shit anymore. It hurts your feet, so you try to be as comfortable as possible when you're walking.
Nah, Higgins, just get some Yeezys, man. You'll feel a lot better. OC says he's been an ambassador for Oliver Peoples for sunglasses and Skechers for footwear exclusively. I have nothing against the sports footwear. I'm just saying I don't really like Skechers design, so that's all I'm saying.
Well, OC, well, the money talks. You should know that concept best. Tan.
Money talks. That's why I say get some Yeezys. Don't wear no Skechers there, Higgy baby. No Skechers.
Well, if they are the main sponsors, if
I
they
would
pave
love
the
to
way.
see, Nick. I'd love to see Higgins wear some fucking Yeezys to like watches and some Kanye West Yeezys, like 350s to like Watches and Wonders. Now that would be a sight to see.
That would be my style.
Honestly, they're actually like very very comfortable. You'd really enjoy them.
I'm exclusively with On Cloud, which are not really popular in the US as far as I'm
Nah,
aware.
I don't know what those are.
Those are Swiss concept shoes designed in
I don't know.
Switzerland.
Their stock's going up. They're a pretty popular one for what it's worth. A lot of people are talking about them like overtaking like Nike or Under Armour. But I don't know anything about. I keep hearing about it for what it's worth. Like it does keep going up, so there must be something to it.
You got some suggestions in the chat there, Higgins.
Oh yeah, no, Birkenstocks are no go. And I was talking to a doctor the other day when Marcelo ripped his toe by a tuk-tuk. One of my policy is when I hate sandals in general, but I would never wear sandals in those countries where it's tough to go to a hospital, and that includes Thailand. So I know that I'm boring, but I would never rent a scooter in Thailand. I would never wear open shoes, and I would never go on a tuk-tuk. Only drive in a normal taxi. I'm really afraid that I would end up in a Thai hospital. And
I do think you have to be extra careful there. I do think, thankfully, a lot of those hospitals are very cheap comparatively to what it would be, at least in the U.S., for what it's worth. So you can go to something does happen, like a private hospital, at basically little to no expense. But yeah. Either way, I got to head out, guys. It was nice to obviously check out Higgins. Nice talking to you, Tan, as well. Hopefully we'll talk again soon, and good luck finishing up, guys. And later to everybody.
All the best to you, and thank you very much for participating with the discussion. You're always welcome.
See you, Nicky Heat.
Okay, so Muhammad Ali is greeting from Chicago. I think he's in Chicago. I hope that he will join as Gonzo probably in the next show. And greetings to you. I hope that life treats you well. And he's also a fan of On Running Shoes. Also, Jamie Opulence has been buying his first On running shoes. So we are on something. Probably I will reach out to have a little logo as a sponsorship. What do you think?
Well, you got a lot of diversity. You got, this is saying Stan Smiths. You got,
sorry.
No, go ahead. You got the Dodger back here. Higgy, live life. I will take you on the back of a scooter.
Oh shit.
He's saying you're just not doing what you should be doing. You should be living life, enjoying.
Yeah. So, Tan, we have here a guest in the background, the watch reporter. What should we do?
He told me he wanted to talk to you about wood dials, and he has some expertise in these high end dials. He wanted to chat about it. Look, if you want to let him on to talk about that, that's cool. If he wants to talk to you about other things, that's up to you. So it's your call. But that's what he told me. He wanted to talk about watches.
I'll give him the benefit of doubt. I have my finger on the kick out button.
Well, actually, Patel, that was I actually was talking about something different, but that's fine. That's fine.
First of all, hello and good evening.
Yes. Guten Arbeit, mein Herr.
Guten Abend. Yeah.
Abend.
So,
yeah, whatever.
So just some ground rules here. I know a little bit that you're trying to be entertaining. This is a niche channel where we're really seriously talking about the watches. So if you're out to do that bullshit that you're usually doing, I'm gonna kick you out. I'll be very frank. If you want to be civil and talk normally about watches, you're welcome here. But don't give me that shit that you usually do. And particularly attacking me as a German will get you banned here immediately.
Why is that? What happened to your sense of humor, Higgins?
There is no humor in certain kind of things. So yeah.
Wow.
There is no humor. I tell you frankly, no humor. Zero tolerance. You're out.
Unbelievable, but true. Listen, I can't.
If you can't accept it, just go.
I find it very interesting. I'm actually in the. The reason I contacted Patel was because I'm actually going to be doing possibly a special episode on this topic of these the handcraft watches.
Right.
I had some interesting viewpoints, but look at it. Absolute toxic hate. The hate stream. Disgusting creep. Disgusting. Wait. I'm not the guy who's giving underage girls alcohol in New York.
No, that's enough. Okay, so I think we are continuing.
Let us continue.
Yeah. Okay, so sorry. I was trying to give him the benefit of doubt. I think it's a little bit over the top to call him disgusting and a creep. I disagree with the OC, but the reply was worth it. Okay, so yeah, what are we gonna discuss now?
Well, you were going through my live stream and all the mistakes you said I made.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have any more of those bullet points, but I would love to hear it, Higgy baby.
Yeah. One second. I think we almost covered everything.
Really? Two bullet points? It was like a 2-hour live stream, and you only got 2 bullet points you argued with me on?
I will read you my bullet points. So Raymond Weil and Daniel Wellington, we had that. Then visually cool, and I disagree. You have to explain what you see and then go on. One point that struck me during that discussion was you were talking about. So there is no disagreement on that point, but you were talking about people making a qualified choice before they put their hard-earned money into a certain point and doing some research and ask others and so on. I totally agree with you, and I agree even more in a falling market. Because in the last couple of years, when all watches were automatically go up, when we're talking about hype watches, you were talking about the 12 certain models that are high in demand.
Right.
So when all those are automatically rising, it is pretty easy to make a decision, because if you sell it a month or 3 months later, then you probably make money. Now the markets are falling, and that automatism is not really working anymore. And so you probably lose money if you buy a watch that you find out you don't like after 4 weeks. So I agree with you that particularly now it is very important to know what you want and to give it some extra thoughts.
The segment of that show was more centered around like YouTube in and of itself, around YouTube channels, the type of content that's being created. And what I don't understand about YouTube is really the gray market channels, like why people find them interesting or what have you. Because number one, it to me, I would never take advice from a gray market dealer. Essentially, they're out to make a profit. They're self-interested, and frankly, most of them aren't, or a lot of them, aren't necessarily treating it like how you would treat the purchase as a true watch enthusiast, right? Some of them look at it of what's making money, what retains money, and what have you. So to me, I never really looked at those guys as um, anybody who could tell me, what the experience was buying a certain piece, because like I said in that example, if you're spending your own hard-earned money and foregoing other things like vacations and other things you can buy, that is a different experience, where you can tell somebody whether a watch is worth the money versus somebody who's, a watch dealer who works at a watch shop, works at a, let's say works at a watch box or what have you, who just handles the watch and maybe they're using their own credit to buy the watch. Like that's not the same experience. And I don't believe that those individuals can really give an assessment of how that watch will really speak to a person. So yeah, that was the whole point of that segment. Yeah.
I think that is a very good point, and I'm a little bit hesitant in the strategy of consulting watch fora or YouTube fora about certain watches. But it's if you find somebody who really owned that watch, probably sold it, and if you can engage in a discussion with those particular person, I think that gives you a lot of benefit.
And yeah, I think that's exactly what I brought up. I said, often people don't have a choice, right? Like they get into the game and they don't know anything about watches. So where are they going to go, right? They're going to individually search and they're going to go on YouTube or forums. And both YouTube and forums is full of groupthink. It's full of the spruiking of the same dozen to 2 dozen watches that quote unquote either make money, retain their money, or just one of the what you would call the hype watches essentially. Outside of that, like you're not getting a ton of really enthusiast like viewpoints on, and that's what I really liked about Archie's show back in the day was he wasn't just talking about what was popular. He had a lot of videos of stuff that wasn't popular because he liked that stuff. And you just don't see that. You don't see people buying obscure pieces and just going down that route anymore.
Yeah, I think that ask for an opinion on whatever the show is not always or very often not a good idea, because you're asking about opinions of people who are relatively new to the collecting, and as a reply you very often get which watch is cool. And the question is, what determines where a watch is cool or not? And I'm now going back to the point. Sometimes you have to educate it a little bit yourself why a certain watch looks like that, or what is the secret behind. You have to discover the story of a watch, and it's very difficult sometimes when you ask a people of guys on a panel who are telling you which watch is cool or which watch is garbage. So
Yeah,
a
but
lot of those.
I guess what I was getting at in that show was you don't need a panel of people to tell you what's cool and what's garbage. You just need yourself. Realistically, 90% of it is you, whether you like it the way it looks, whether you like the design of something. 90% of that is that, whether it's pleasing to you, and then the other 10% is essentially understanding what the manufacturer is creating and or marketing to you. Whether it's a certain case shape, a design, art, functionality, et cetera, et cetera. But 90% of it is you just liking it, because if you don't like it, you're not going to wear that watch, not for very long, at least.
I listened to a show, I think it was on Tim Wright, where a guy was asking for advice. He was about to buy a yellow gold Daytona,
Mm-hmm.
and he was not sure if the watch was authentic, and he was asking which kind of actions he should take. Now I'm losing my line of thought because so he got 11 different replies from 10 people, which is then adding to the confusion instead of solving. Then Paul Thorpe came in, and I don't have a personal beef with Paul Thorpe, but I didn't like how he portrayed his role or the role of his friends, because he was drawing the picture that he's the honest broker and the honest advisor, and his friends. And I totally disagree. I mean, at the end of the day, Paul is a watch dealer. His friends are watch dealers. If you really expect a watch dealer giving you advice, take that with a grain of salt, because at the end, those watch dealers, their ultimate goal is to sell watches to make money. So be careful with advice from watch dealers, no matter if it's gray or ADs. I mean, we know that many sales ADs at sales SAs at ADs, they are getting commission, and they're getting only little commission if they are selling hot Rolex models. So I would be very careful with advice from professionals, particularly when they're active. What do you think?
Yeah, look, guys, it's the Wild West. Like, let's be very honest with each other. Let's look at the mirror. Let's look at ourselves a hard look in the mirror. The watch game right now is the Wild West. There's no regulation in the watch game. There's no DMVs. There's no authorities that regulate an industry here. This is, when you hear the term trusted, right? This is something we created 20 years ago on the forums, because we needed to have some way to actually know, okay, well, this is a market, right? And I've done a couple of deals with this guy, and yeah, it's not really conventional for me to take $15,000 in cash and pay somebody, or wire to somebody I've never seen. Like, this is a construct of us creating a term that, in reality, guys, let's be honest with each other, it's still the Wild West. Like, buyer beware every single time. Okay, every single time it's buyer beware. Now, are the chances of you getting robbed by a quote unquote trusted dealer high? Maybe, maybe not, right? Like, but the answer is that, like, just because it didn't rain yesterday does not mean it won't rain today. It's false logic, and buyer beware. There's no regulation in this market. So yeah, like, trusted is only as good as your last transaction, in my opinion.
Look, I'm not out to to shit on Paul Thorpe or his friend Spencer and all the associated. I think they're very very trustworthy dealers at the moment. I'll just give you an example of my purchase of my Saab car, which was really interesting. I think the Saab was no, it was not the first new car. No, I bought new before. So. I was ordering this Saab at the Saab center in Hamburg, and they asked for a deposit, knowing that the car will arrive 9 months later. And I said, "Look, I'm going to hand you over a couple of €1,000, trusting that you will still be there." And he was the boss of the Saab center, and he smiled at me and said, "Listen, you're talking with the biggest car dealer in the world. That used to be a Dutch company. I don't forget the company name." So he said, "What are you talking about? We're the biggest car dealer in the world." And then, okay, I signed the check, and I signed the contract, gave him the deposit. I got the car, but 2 years later, that biggest car dealer in the world went bankrupt. So you never know
exactly
what happens in the future. Yeah.
This is why I don't even play the AD games, right? Because your AD, you could spend and this is in the news, obviously, a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago, there was a guy who I believe is like trying to sue one of the ADs, but people are dumping crazy amounts of money into an AD with the promise and the hope that one day they're going to get that grail piece. And and you can't change their mind, right? Like, they won't look at other alternatives because they're like, no, I want to do it what they feel is the legit way, right? This is how they look at the legit way of doing it, and they're just dumping insane amounts of money into an authorized dealer, like you said, that could be gone. Like Paddock and Rolex aren't expanding their AD networks, guys. Like if anything, they're consolidating a lot of their AD networks. And so like it's a dangerous game to play right now. I honestly sometimes don't understand the math behind some of the transactions people are doing when it's probably cheaper to just buy a Daytona on the secondary than you know play the game all the way around, because it's not just even the money, Higgins, it's also your time, right? Like the amount of time you're not enjoying the watch that you could have as well, to me it has some form of value as well to it.
I'm not sure what the game is called in English. We have here a card game which is called Rome, and the goal is that you have a certain street, a certain lineup of cards. So when you're dealt with a good hand, you can wait until it's your turn. If you have a bad hand, then you're just trying to suck up as many cards as possible in the hope that your hand is improving. And that is how I see some of the behavior of some people who are buying virtually any watch to get higher in the purchase history list of their ADs. And I think it's a big mistake to do that.
No, because I mean, the price of a watch is what people are willing to pay for it, right? That is a true market value of something. And for people to say that a Daytona's market value or I mean, you know what an MSRP is, but I always tell people that fight me on the whole, well, I don't want to pay over retail. It's, well, that watch really isn't, if and I'll use Canadian dollars, a 14,000 or 15,000 Canadian dollar watch. That's a $40,000 Canadian watch because that's what people are willing to pay for it, and you just can't get one.
OC is
And
asking a question, but before I read it, let me apologize to OC. The watch reapers comment was totally out of line, and this shouldn't have happened. So I apologize to OC. This is not the way panelists usually behave here. So original OC at 10, or do you want to read it 10?
I can read it. At current market price for Paddock World Time, 52.30. So that's the one I have in great condition, similar to yours. Great pickup grass. You can actually, I've seen some OC at the high 50s, so like 59. You can get them at in like in excellent condition. If you want like new old stock or a new condition, you're probably like mid to low 60s, so probably 63. I would say US. But yeah, in excellent condition, probably in the 59s. So it's good value because I mean this watch that's like 30% off retail for a perpetual calendar. So really good buying in that market today.
Yeah, or alternatively look for a
Sorry. I'm thinking perpetual calendar. He said world time. World times 38 and a half, I think you're seeing in this price. So you're probably looking like what you could probably pick it up at is like 36, 35, I would say. But I've seen them posted at 38 and a half, so probably 36, 35, which isn't too far off from what Archie paid on the 5130. I think he was in like the mid 20s. You can see his in the mid to high 20s. So I was like, yeah, fuck it. I'll just spend the extra couple of grand. So mid 30s.
The main reason to buy a 5230 are the lugs. 1 second.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like this watch is all in the lugs, the winglet lugs for sure.
Yeah, the most beautiful lugs that you can find, in my opinion, and totally worth it. 1 second. I'm just pulling up the platinum. Why?
And the reason why I said the perpetual calendar is because that reference is 5320, and this one's 5230.
You mixed up Patek references.
Yeah, I went straight into the perpetual calendar for some reason when he asked about the world time.
Yeah, so when we're talking about perpetual calendars, may I add that the Langematic perpetual calendar is still at a very good price available, and I would seriously consider this against the world timer 5130.
So this is the 5230. This is the one that OC is asking about.
Yeah. No, but I'm just coming back to the perpetual calendar discussion that you had before.
Yeah, like in this one, I think that you're right. Like the lugs on this are really like they're very much like the old 25-23 world time.
Iconic.
The iconic, yeah, the iconic, the serially produced World Time. And I mean, the World Time hadn't been produced up until the 2000s. So, what, 30, 40 years or something like that, before they created the World Time again in the 5110. So, both the 5130 and the 5110 have the integrated, like, Calatrava style lugs. Um, but when they went
And
to
the crown guard. And the crown guard.
and the crown guards,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Whereas in the 5230, as you can see here, they changed the lugs to the winglet style lugs. Now, Jonathan, you saw this lug style. You've obviously tried on Jamie Opulence's watch, which is the same one in the Cloisonné dial. What was your thoughts on the lugs on this piece?
I love the Lux, and I told you the watch is worth buying alone for the Lux. I really love the case shape, the Lux of the 5230, absolutely perfect. And may I say that those Lux are more beautiful than on my Celestial Voyager. However, the Celestial Voyager, I bought it mainly for the Lux as well.
One thing I would say about, whenever you talk world times, there's kind of two groups. You have the Cloisonné dial group, and then you have everything else, in my opinion. Even though the platinum and the Guilloche and the platinum is spectacular, but what I would say about world times is, I mean, Jonathan, you've done Guilloche, you've attempted to do Guilloche yourself, and
I fucked up
right, you've told us how difficult it is.
Mm.
Every Guilloche dial is unique because they're done by hand. So theoretically, every single world time out there is, you could think of it as a piece unique. Is There's not another world time out there in the world that would be exactly like the one that you're wearing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I would try to, or I would like to give out a recommendation to everybody who goes to Geneva for Watches and Wonders, or when you're in Geneva in general and being a watch nut. The Breguet Boutique, every 2 weeks, there is their master guillocheur who does that amazing presentation of the art of guillochage, and he takes his time. So when you're in Geneva, try to get that experience. It's highly recommended. It is the Breguet Boutique, just nearby Patek Philippe. You can't miss it. Drop by early, maybe the day before the week. I think he's usually there on Saturday. I would guess that he's there for the entire week of Watches and Wonders. That is how I would do it if I was Breguet CEO. Not sure if that's the case. So if you're in Geneva, ask first at Breguet if they're doing that presentation and when, and try to book it. It is totally worth it. It will blow your mind, and it will change your opinion about certain handcraft and artisans.
To go back to OC's question, like, when I answered it, like mid-30s, right, for a world time, like we just saw, like, and as I described, those watches are unique. Every single one of them is different, and that's just something you won't get with a comparable watch for $35,000, from something else, right? Not even a world time. Let's say it's it's a Royal Oak, or with a stamped Grand Tapisserie dial and stuff like that, right? Like, you're getting you're getting more art, something that's unique, and really, when I talked about this watch a few weeks ago, I talked about it in the sense that, like, and Jonathan, I'm very much a guy who likes functionality and its complications. I love date complications because of the functionality. This watch is just not functional, in the sense of its accuracy of time zones, and no world time will ever, in my opinion, be functional forever, because time zones change, over time. Cities change to different time zones, and so a lot of these times, these watches are time capsules. They depict the time or an era of a certain time, and really the romanticism of these watches is what they're about. It's not about their functionality or, realistically their design. It's about what the emotion, travel and the world and just that experience evokes out of you. And then when you add the guilloche and the personalization to it, like, it's really an experience that I told Jonathan a few weeks ago that, like, I have never experienced in any other type of watch I've owned. So really, really cool experience. I would highly recommend people experiencing that kind of stuff in a world time, because it's a lot more than just the complication, is what I would say. And I would I think everybody needs to explore one.
Yeah, and dare I say, I told you.
I told you so. Yeah.
We've been talking about that. It's a crappy picture. I just could find that on the fly. I would like to shift a little bit away from Patek Philippe because this is not a Patek Philippe channel, and I would like to shift to a topic which is also not really our topic here on the Swiss and John show, because we are usually
This isn't the Swiss and John show.
Swiss, elite horology, yeah. So we are not really trying to talk about markets, but I would like to have a discussion about a point that OC made on the first show. I think we were talking about the IWC Ingenieur, which has been introduced less than a year ago.
Okay.
Super expensive. Now the first couple of Ingenieurs are dropping on Chrono 24 under retail,
right?
Substantially under retail, and OC said that so that is the true value of this watch. And
well, yeah, it's whatever people are willing to pay for it, right? Yeah, of course it is. That's the market value. Of course, that is the market. It's whatever people are willing to pay for it.
I would say yes and no. So I'm pretty well aware of supply and demand, and the market finds then an appropriate price for it. But if you say, okay, the IWC Ingenieur is worth $8,000 or $9,000 only, I would certainly agree with you. But let's take the value of a Nautilus, for example. I think the Nautilus is still 70,000 US or something like that.
Yeah, but that is the market price of the watch, right? Like it MSRPs for, say 30s, 40s, whatever, but it hits the market on the secondary for 100, call it. That's the market price.
Yeah, but is that the real value of the watch?
I would say that's even the lowest market price, because in all honesty, if you were trying to buy a Nautilus from an AD, you'd be spending a heck of a lot more than 100 grand.
Yeah, so but you're talking about a market price. I'm asking about the value, because I still believe that.
Do I believe there's $100,000 worth of value in that watch? No, I don't. Okay. And that's why I say, what I said earlier when I went into the perpetual calendar talk as opposed to the world time talk, I was saying that, $59,000 for a Patek Philippe world time is a really good price. Like, that's on the low end right now of, perpetual calendars, especially in a modern size in a 40 mil. OC says he canceled my order for the IWC Ingenieur, and the AD was happy to use my cancellation to tell IWC they bungled the launch.
Bungled the launch in not supplying on time through the ADs, or do you think that that it's overpriced? And I agree on both points. I think it's overpriced. I think it's still too much money. But I'm still coming back, because when you say supply and demand finds a price, you leave out the concept of scarcity marketing that the French invented, probably Hermès invented it. Thank you very much for that. And they are basically manipulating the market by shortening the supply while having a constant demand, and that drives prices up. So I would say the market price doesn't always reflect the value of a certain watch. Yeah, that is my point.
You shorten the supply of a turd, it's still a turd, right? Like, yeah. If that's the concept of all these limited editions. Whether it's Panerai or AP or anybody, there's all these limited editions. Hublot limited editions. Like, just because you call it a limited edition, you limit the supply, does not mean that people are going to buy it or there's buyer demand for it. So, in terms of the IWC Ingenieur, like, it's a nice watch. Maybe it's overpriced. It's a tough market these days, right? Like, if it's not hyped, people aren't going to buy it. And that's kind of what OC means by, like, in this market, people aren't canceling orders. So if you're canceling orders, that should tell you something, that maybe it's not, as successful as you thought it would be. Now, would I relish the idea to pick up a Ingenieur on a steel? Absolutely, I would. But I'm not paying top dollar for one. I'm not super interested to get one. Cool watch to have, not a must watch to have, in my opinion.
Let's get away from let's go away from the IWC, because that is a good example for why OC is right. But I still insist on the Nautilus, and I think his theory is wrong on the Nautilus, because the Nautilus price is only so high because the supply is artificially low, and that meets a certain demand, and that drives prices up. I mean, the Nautilus 1.5 years ago was over 100, and
Alright.
by that logic, you could say, okay, Nautilus is 120. Now it is only 70. So it is a big gap, and the only thing that has changed is the time and the market.
Let's play a game. Patek Philippe. Let's see how scarce the supply is. Let's go 5711 1A010. I think this is the blue dial. Yeah, it's the blue dial. So how many of them are there? 142
Mm.
of these out there.
Worldwide.
Worldwide. Okay, so let's just do 5711 1A. That's just steel. 343 steel Patek Philippe's out there. Let's do Patek Philippe 5107. This is Archie's model. 34 out there. 5127. 24 out there. Patek Philippe Aquanaut 5167, like 5167A. This is the steel version. 405 out there.
Yeah, but the fact that those are out there is people see that there are crazy prices, and they are willing to put them up
for the entire annual calendar line. 5146, only 181. I guess my point is that like they're not as scarce as you think they are. There's a lot of them out there for sale. Number one,
for high prices.
For high prices. Now, they're not high because of speculators necessarily, right? Like the value, because the way you're looking at it is that I don't believe that that's $100,000 of watch that I'm getting, right? In terms of like what a brand can provide me in finishing, in quality, in design, etc. You don't believe that. You believe it's a $30,000 watch, whatever. But the market is not saying that it's a $100,000 watch because of the movement or what have you. It's because of what that watch does. In terms of like what it, whether it's a status symbol, what it portrays, like that is why it's $100,000 watch, is because of its status, that it's that expensive, not because of what it includes within it. And look, that's the same for anything, right? Like a day date, the amount of gold in a day date is nowhere near what they're charging you for a day date. A lot of that is, what the status of the day date realistically, right? So I don't think there's anything wrong with the market spending 100 grand on a Nautilus. I personally wouldn't, because I think for that money I could get, for the same thing, I could have two of my watches, the 5320 perpetual calendar and the 5230 world time, where I'm getting more watch for the money for that same 100 grand that I would from the Nautilus.
Look, Thierry Stern was in an interview, and he said, I don't want to Patek Philippe to turn into a steel Nautilus company, because that is not our strength. I don't want to become another IWC. So he basically admitted that he's artificially shortening the supply, because he doesn't want it.
Yeah, but the problem with that too is that that's what his buyers want. And so while he's shortening the supply, I think that's just an optics thing to say. He's not getting rid of it. If he truly did not want that problem, he would get rid of the line. He's not getting rid of it because he does see value in the line. And I know his AD network would be angry, obviously, if he got rid of it, because then people aren't just going to seek out necessarily dress watches. So I take that with a bit of a grain of salt of what he says on that. And here's another thing too. He's coming out with a new lineup this year that I've heard quotes saying, "Oh, it's the Nautilus killer," which means it could be a sports line. And I don't really believe Patek Philippe needs a third sports line, because I think it's just gonna really cannibalize the other two sport lines. I don't think they need another one.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but we will certainly stay tuned to see what Patek will show us. So, hello, Thomas Burnett.
Thomas, I'm going to tag you
Hi
in because
there.
I got to run, Thomas, because I'm going to tag you in. I just wanted to say thank you to Higgins for having me on, saying hello to Thomas, who ran a great show yesterday. We sent the viewers over to the Casual Watch Review channel yesterday. Tom, I knew you were going to be on, so I wanted to make sure that the viewers saw that watch talk yesterday.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to go take a point what Patel Philippe was saying about is the Nautilus worth what it is, and also go back to what you were saying about grey market dealers and their resurgence into the YouTube watch space. I mean, 5 years ago, it was the enthusiast YouTube watch space, I think, and grey market dealers started to flood it, and they had a lot of influence, and you could see the watches that weren't available, that you couldn't see normally. They showed these watches that had just come out, weren't obtainable. The watch boxes, the watch Erics, the CRMs, the Roman shafts, they're exhibiting these watches online on videos that we couldn't see. And going back to what Patel Philippe said about it's not, the Nautilus isn't just what you get inside it; it's about the status. I think these great dealers pumped out that you should have a Nautilus, that you should have a whatever Royal Oak, you should have a day date, you should have a whatever watch it be, and that it escalated the interest and the value of these watches. It made them, as I say, escalated the value, made them more hard to get.
They were firing up the hype on all channels.
Exactly. All these grey market dealers were firing up the hype because they had to sell their watches.
Exactly.
And I don't believe that it's more than is what is inside the watch. I think what is inside the watch is really what the watch is all about, and the aesthetics of the watch as well. If you fall for the hype, in a way, you're not looking at the broader spectrum of watches. You're just focusing on what is being spoon-fed to you over YouTube.
Exactly, and if you're following the hype, you're very likely to get screwed. I mean, Nautilus is 70,000 now, 80,000. It used to be 150. So 1.5 years ago, when you were following the hype, you lost 50% of it just because it's not that hyped anymore. And that is a little bit my point, that there are certain influences or certain factors that influence the market value of a watch, and it's not always supply meets demand. Everybody tries to manipulate the market in their own interest, and it is legit from a dealer point of view. I mean, YouTube, Instagram, all the social media is just another sales channel. In the early day, they made advertisement in local newspapers. Now they are making ads or shooting YouTube videos. That's how it goes, and there is nothing wrong about it. But you have to keep in mind it is a sales tool.
Yeah, and as I say before, it was more an enthusiast channel. You had enthusiast channels such as Archie, such as Urban Gentry, and other channels, and various other ones that showed the watches out of. All right, some may have been sponsored, like the Urban Gentry. That was probably a bad example, but some the enthusiasts like Archie were buying their watches. They were buying different watches, experiencing different watches, making videos about them, and then we got the grey market dealers sort of inserting onto the YouTube space and showing us these watches that we'd never seen before, and but then directing their focus onto hype pieces that they needed to sell. I mean, I remember things like it was all Rolex, and high-end Pateks and Royal Oaks, and the crowd fell for it, And I remember a couple of years ago when the left-handed drive GMT came out. I mean, there was a grey market well-known grey market dealer in the UK saying, "I'm going to buy one for £35,000." And then obviously he's going to sell it for more than that. He did the same with the Titanium Yachtmaster last year. I'm going to buy one for £35,000. So he was dictating the price of what they were going to be, and he was sort of saying, "This is going to be the benchmark for what these watches are going to be worth." When really, they're retail for £12,000, and so the grey market dealers were sort of dictating what the prices should be.
Yeah. On the other hand, let's keep in mind that if that Rolex retails for 12 and the grey market price was 35, that didn't mean that the grey marketeer was bagging in £23,000 necessarily.
Sure not. Because, sure. Yeah. The flipper would be taking a lot of the money. Sure.
Yeah. So Paul Thorpe made that point once. He said, no matter what the value of a watch is, we're taking 10-15% profit, no matter where the price is. Now we have the problem that the prices have been falling, and also the grey marketeers have lost a lot of money, and their inventory has been devalued. I don't want to shit on grey marketeers or anything. I just wanted to use a word out of caution, because in my opinion, Paul Thorpe was drawing the picture of a watch dealer a little bit too romantic. At the end of the day, they are trying to make a sale. That is what a successful salesman is doing, and there is nothing wrong with it. But drawing the picture that those were honest brokers and only had the interest of the client in mind, that is only part of the truth. Of course, a happy customer is a returning customer, so you don't screw him over. That goes well. But of course, you're trying to bring your client to a sale at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's business is business. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong about it. I just wanted to give a counter perspective to that.
Sure.
So Thomas, do you have any topic, because we are almost 2 hours? I was hoping to limit myself to 1 hour, but now it went a little bit longer.
Sorry. Yeah, if you want to wrap it up, that's fine. Yeah, I was just late. Sorry, I was late. I was meant to hop on earlier, but I've just been eating dinner with my parents. So
I hope the dinner was nice and you had a good time together with them.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was nice, but great to see that you've been going 2 hours. It's great to see that there's proper watch talk lasting 2 hours.
Yeah, it's amazing, and the moment that I'm writing my bullet point, I think that's going to last 15 minutes. So what am I going to do for the next 45 minutes? But there is always coming up, and that is really interesting and fascinating about it.
So I'm going to Watches and Wonders. I took on board your point about visiting the Breguet boutique.
Yes, please do that.
Yeah.
So I would recommend, as soon as you're hitting Geneva, try to go to the Breguet boutique, find out if they're doing that demonstration. And I think you have to book a time slot. I'm pretty sure there will be a lot of people asking for one. So be early and try to do it. If you want, I think I have the business card of the guy somewhere. I can send you his details, and maybe you can ask him in advance in private.
Yeah, sure. That'd be great. Great.
Okay, so I think I'm going to wrap this show up. Don't want to be rude to you, Thomas.
Not at all, not at all. No, no, you've been going a long time. You've been going
Yeah.
2 hours. So all I can say is I hope everyone had a good Easter. And yeah, great to see you all in the chat.
Yeah. So yeah, Easter is over. I hope that you had a good Easter. Thank you very much for always supporting me and always supporting Good Watch Talk. And we try to stay in. To all the viewers, thank you very much for tuning in. Please like, subscribe. It would be great if we would gain some more subscribers. Before I started the show, I was at 145, I think. Last week we were below 90, so we are doing great progress. The goal is not to have high subscribers numbers, but it certainly helps and is fun when you know that you're doing it for a lot of people. And we're trying to be like we are, and we hope that we reach people with our content. So, Thomas, thank you very much again for hopping on. Please stay after I close the show. Thank you very much to all the viewers, all the commenters, and hope to see you all very soon. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.